Andy here at Handy Andy Leathercraft, and we're back on this belt again. Just doing the finishing touches of just put in my holes for the buckle, and we're gonna now burnish the edges of this belt. And then once that's done, it's just a case of then putting the hardware on, and that belt is then done. So for the burnishing, some water. We've got our slicker, and then we got the Toconol for finishing it off. So first of all, I made this little contraption. There's a thing called a stitching pony you can use for when you're doing stitching needlework on leather and stuff, but for belts. I just kind of made this myself, a couple of bits of wood, drilled 3 holes, some bolts in it and adjustments. So, but we're not going to have this tight. It's just nice to use this just to kind of hold the belt in place. So without further ado, we're going to slick the edge of this belt. So normally I just use my finger sometimes, but why not? I'm going to use a dauber. So I'm just going to get a dauber, and then we just wet the top of the leather, because what we're doing is it's like the little kind of hairs, fibers in the leather, because it's the edge of the belt. To burnish it, what we do is by wetting the fibers down, then what happens is we use our slicker then to create a bit of friction, and it kind of starts to seal. It starts to kind of seal those fibers down, and I call it kind of goes like glassy. So once I kind of do this, you'll feel how it goes glassy, and it also goes nice and smooth as well. So let me just give this a little slick, and you can tell then by the rough and the smooth the difference in it. I'm just going to get this edge here. Okay, let's just see if you can see the difference. Trying to get it in the light somehow. So where the kind of edges, the fibers are, then when you kind of come back here, it kind of puts a nice kind of, I call it a glass finish. It kind of seals it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of work our way along the belt until we do that all, both edges, top and tail, and then we'll do the Toconol. I'm just going to try and give you a better camera angle. If I just switch with the fibers, or kind of by wetting it and burnishing it, because of friction, it then puts the fibers down, and as I come along to where it's been burnished, you can see then the difference, and it starts to give it a nice kind of smooth sheen going along the belt. And then when I come back, you can see that's where it's ended, and that's where the fibers still need burnishing. So that was the kind of the first stage, by using like the kind of water and using the burnishing tool, the slicker. And now, because it's got a nice, because that fiber's now been kind of, using the friction and the heat, that fibers have kind of shrunk down a little bit more into the leather. So now when we apply the Toconol, it's like it gives like a nice finishing kind of protective layer on top. It's like it's quite old, this Toconol. It's like a kind of a leather balm. So we just put, you don't need a lot of it. We just put a little bit of this on. You can use any kind of application. I don't mind using my finger, and to be honest with you, it smells a little bit like, believe it or not, PVA glue, but it is not PVA glue, I can assure you. Sometimes if it's quite thick with this leather belt, if your burnishing tool's quite not getting where it should be getting, it's quite used to use a rag as well. Normally like more of a canvas type rag, so it's just something that can cause a little bit of friction for it to kind of get that nice finish on it. So there you go, burnishing a belt with just the water, slicker, or if it's a bit of thick leather, you can use like a nice kind of like a canvasy type rag, so it just causes that little bit of friction. And once it's done, it gives it a really nice seal and a very smooth finish as well. So I'm really happy with that. And then afterwards with your rag, you can just pretty much kind of give it a good kind of buff it out a little bit by just pulling it through. Then you can just give it a little buff on the front. So I'm just trying to get it so you can see the sheen now after the Resolene that it does on the belt. It has a really nice kind of, and there's no streaks, no streaking, no bubbles, just a nice kind of deep rich colour. coming through. You can see the underside as well. It's got a nice sheen to it. So just remember the leather on the underside. This is the economy grade veg tan shoulder, and it's a bit thinner as well than the premium grade leather, which is about 3.5 mils thick. But you can see by the end of the belt, it gives it a nice kind of sheen, and it makes it quite nice and smooth on the corners. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope this gives you a little kind of hints and tips when it comes to burnishing. The only last thing then I do is, obviously, where holes are for the belt, I just get a little bit of water on my slicker, and then I just go in the hole, give that a little burnish, and then a little bit of the Toconol as well, just to give it a nice seal on the inside. Okay, thanks now, bye.